Forget glamorous awards shows and red carpet chaos. Buckle up for a ride into the not-so-glittering side of fame, where celebrities crossed paths with the wrong crew. From Jackie Chan facing off against the mafia to Steven Seagal getting kidnapped by a mob, these stories offer a glimpse into the dark side of fame. Mick Jagger and the Hells Angels. Mick Jagger, the legendary Rolling Stones frontman, has been rocking stages for decades, but did you know he once narrowly escaped death? In 2008, a shocking revelation came to light. An assassination attempt had been planned against him back in the late 60s. The year was 1969. The Rolling Stones, riding the wave of counterculture and artistic expression, decided to stage a free concert inspired by the legendary Woodstock Festival. Altamont Speedway, a California racetrack, was the chosen venue, and fueled by a desire for authenticity, the band made a decision. They hired the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club for security. The story goes that the bikers got paid with $500 worth of beer to maintain order at the event. Well, hiring the Hells Angels turned out to be a big mistake. What unfolded that day became etched in rock history, not for its music, but for its descent into chaos. The Angels, known for their volatile nature, clashed with concertgoers. The idyllic Woodstock dream turned into a nightmare, with 4 lives lost, including 18-year-old Meredith Hunter, who was stabbed by an Angel member. The Stones, shaken and disgusted by the events, publicly condemned the Angels and vowed never to work with them again. This decision, however, ignited a firestorm of anger within the Angels' ranks. They saw it as a betrayal, a public humiliation that demanded retribution. And so, a chilling plan began to take shape. An assassination plot targeting the very man who had denounced them, Mick Jagger. They planned to attack Jagger's beachfront mansion in the Hamptons, New York, by boat. Armed with weapons, they set sail under the cover of darkness. But fate intervened. Just as they were about to execute their plan, a freak storm struck. Their boat capsized, throwing its occupants into the sea. Everyone survived, but the assassination attempt was thwarted by the mighty power of Mother Nature. The story doesn't end there. The Angels, disheartened by their failed attempt and perhaps fearing further consequences, never again targeted Jagger. This near-death experience was also a wake-up call for Jagger. Who knows what rock history would be like if that freak storm hadn't intervened? One thing is for sure, Mick Jagger has danced with danger and lived to tell the tale. Jimi Hendrix kidnapped. Jimi Hendrix, the electrifying guitarist who redefined rock music, wasn't just known for his musical prowess. His life was a whirlwind of creativity, fame, and unfortunately, some unsavory encounters. In 1969, during a trip to Seattle, his life took a strange and unsettling turn. For 2 days, he vanished without a trace. This left everyone confused and worried. What happened during that lost weekend? The answer, pieced together from interviews, research, and even a former cocaine smuggler's story, paints a bizarre picture. It all started when Jimmy, seeking drugs, entered a shady Seattle nightclub. Fame usually meant someone else bought his stuff, but this time, he ventured out himself. His fame didn't go unnoticed. 2 low-level crooks, recognizing their golden opportunity, approached him with the promise of free drugs. Entranced and unaware of their intentions, Hendrix followed them. What followed next were 48 hours of captivity and confusion. The details remain murky, but we know this. Jimmy was kept heavily intoxicated, likely unaware of the unfolding drama. Here is where the story takes a surprising turn. John Roberts, a former cocaine smuggler with deep ties to the Colombian Medellin cartel, came into the picture. He decided to intervene after hearing of Jimmy's disappearance. Using his mob ties, he tracked down the kidnappers and delivered a stern message: release Jimmy unharmed, no questions asked. Miraculously, Hendrix was released unharmed, and no ransom was paid. But the confusion didn't end there. Hendrix himself suspected his own manager, Michael Jeffrey, orchestrated the whole thing to control him. While evidence doesn't support this theory, it adds another layer of intrigue to the already bizarre story. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this story is the vulnerability it reveals, even for a celebrity like Jimmy. Fame, it seems, wasn't a shield against the dangers lurking in the shadows. The incident also offers a glimpse into the darker side of the music industry, where fame and desperation can create strange alliances and dangerous situations. But what truly happened during those 2 days when Jimmy went missing? Was it a kidnapping, a drug-fueled bender, or something else entirely? The answer might forever remain a mystery. Assassination attempt on Bob Marley. The king of reggae, Bob Marley, wasn't just a musician. He was a voice for peace, unity, and love. But in 1976, his life was threatened by a chilling event. While rehearsing for a concert aimed at calming tensions in Jamaica, 7 armed men stormed his home. According to Tyrone Downey, a band member, Marley had gone to the kitchen for a grapefruit when the gunmen burst in, spraying bullets. The attack was swift and terrifying. Ziggy Marley, Bob's young son, witnessed his mother Rita being shot in the head. The bullet missed her brain by just inches. Bob himself was hit in the hand, while their manager and a band employee suffered gunshot wounds too. Miraculously, everyone survived. This wasn't just a random attack. Marley had planned a concert, Smile Jamaica, aimed at uniting a politically divided nation. Some felt he was supporting the prime minister, and this sparked anger from opposing factions. The motive behind the shooting remained murky, but the intention was clear: to silence Marley's voice. Yet, Marley wouldn't be silenced. Just 2 days later, despite his injuries and the shock of the attack, he took the stage at National Heroes Park. Bandaged and defiant, he performed for thousands of fans, his message of unity and peace even stronger. As Ziggy Marley, his son, later said, nothing could stop him from serving that higher purpose. The concert was a powerful statement, but the fear lingered. Soon after, Marley and his family relocated to London, taking a break from the volatile atmosphere in Jamaica. This wasn't a retreat, but a strategic move to ensure their safety while continuing to spread their message through music. Yet, Bob Marley never lost his faith in the power of music to unite people. He continued to spread his message of love and hope through his songs, inspiring millions around the world. A Sharky encounter in Costa Rica. If you are familiar with Gordon Ramsay, you would know. He is a chef known for his culinary prowess and sharp tongue. Well, in 2011, he found himself in unfamiliar territory. He wasn't critiquing restaurants, but rather exploring the murky world of the fishing industry in Costa Rica for a show called Shark Bait. This wasn't your typical culinary adventure. Ramsay's target was a brutal practice where sharks are caught. Their fins are sliced off while they are alive, and then they are left to die agonizingly. But this mission was no walk in the park. He crossed paths with some seriously dangerous people, Taiwanese shark fin smugglers. These weren't petty criminals. They were part of a multi-billion-dollar unregulated industry, and they made it very clear they didn't want Ramsay and his crew poking their noses into their business. Things got intense when Ramsay stumbled upon a shocking sight. He discovered rooftops covered in thousands of drying shark fins. The tension escalated when they doused him with gasoline. The message was loud and clear, but Ramsay wasn't easily deterred. Determined to expose the truth, he tried filming on another boat. This time, things went from bad to worse. He and his crew found themselves held at gunpoint by the same gang members, their lives hanging by a thread. Thankfully, police soon arrived at the scene, but there was little they could do. They instead warned Ramsay to leave the country immediately or face the consequences. Ramsay's Costa Rican investigation proved one thing: the shark finning trade was ruthless, dangerous, and deeply troubling. He faced threats, intimidation, and witnessed firsthand the brutality inflicted on these magnificent creatures. This wasn't just about making a television show. It was a passionate fight to expose the truth and raise awareness about a practice that pushed sharks towards extinction. While the experience was undoubtedly terrifying, Ramsay's courage helped shine a light on this dark issue. His experience sparked outrage, bringing public attention to the brutal trade and its impact on shark populations. So the next time you see shark fin soup on a menu, remember Gordon Ramsay's encounter in Costa Rica. Let his story serve as a reminder of the devastating impact our choices can have on the delicate balance of our oceans and the creatures that call them home. Jackie Chan and the Triads. The late 80s and early 90s in Hong Kong were a time of cinematic brilliance, but there was also a dark secret. Powerful criminal groups called Triads were muscling their way in. They infiltrated every facet of the film industry, turning it into a money laundering machine and a breeding ground for intimidation. Imagine a scene. You are shooting a movie, and suddenly, a Triad thug bursts in, demanding protection money or threatening to smash your equipment. It wasn't just a threat. They even attacked journalists who dared criticize actors they controlled. But amidst the fear, one man stood up to the gangs: Jackie Chan. The beloved martial arts star wasn't just about fancy kicks and gravity-defying stunts. He was a champion for artistic freedom. This defiance, however, came at a steep price. His refusal to bend to the Triads' demands made him a target for years. According to Chan himself, the constant pressure and extortion were what drove him to leave China for America in the first place. However, his escape was far from smooth. As he stepped off the plane in his new home, bullets whizzed past him. Returning to China didn't offer much respite. Feeling cornered, Chan resorted to carrying guns and grenades for protection. He once described a tense encounter. One time he was having dinner when more than 20 people with watermelon machetes surrounded him at dinner. He stood his ground, brandishing 3 guns and declaring, "You have gone too far." While the ending of his story remains unclear, one can't help but imagine, based on those words, that some Triad members might have found themselves checking into a Hong Kong hospital that day. But this wasn't just about personal safety. It was about the future of Hong Kong cinema. Chan's courage inspired others to speak out against the Triads, eventually leading to their diminished influence in the industry. This real-life kung fu fight wasn't about fancy moves or flashy costumes. It was a fight for freedom, a fight for the very soul of Hong Kong cinema. And in that fight, Jackie Chan emerged as a hero, reminding us that sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with fists and kicks, but with courage and conviction. Fatz and Al Capone. Imagine being a young musician, minding your own business, when suddenly you are shoved into a car at gunpoint. Scary, right? But for 21-year-old Fatz in 1926, this terrifying kidnapping took a bizarre and ultimately kind of awesome turn. Waller wasn't just any musician. He was a rising star, packing clubs and even hitting the silver screen in Hollywood. During the Prohibition era, while Chicago was under the thumb of notorious gangster Al Capone, Waller found himself face to face with the man himself, not in a prison cell, but in a surprising way. One night, while performing at Chicago's Sherman Hall, a gun suddenly nudged Waller's back. He was forced into a limousine and driven to an unknown location. When they stopped, he was shoved in front of a piano, told to play, and saw Al Capone, the notorious gangster, watching him. Turns out, it was Capone's birthday, and Waller, unknowingly, was his present. While Capone may be known for his brutal ways, on this occasion, he treated Waller like a king. Every song request earned Waller not just applause, but cash stuffed into his pockets, along with plenty of whiskey to loosen him up. Waller, initially shaken, loosened up and started to enjoy the bizarre situation. The birthday bash went on for 3 unbelievable days, with Waller spending most of it in a happy, boozy haze. By the time Fatz finally stumbled home, exhausted and probably still tipsy, he had thousands of dollars tucked away in his pockets. A story wilder than any fictional adventure, and a memory that would stay with him forever. This peculiar encounter cemented Waller's reputation as a musician who could charm anyone, even the most feared gangster in Chicago. The story also paints a different picture of Capone, showcasing a side rarely seen, one that enjoyed jazz and was perhaps willing to spend lavishly on his own entertainment. Steven Seagal and the Gambino crime family. In the early 1990s, action movie star Steven Seagal was kicking butt on screen and riding a wave of success. Seagal's skills were undeniable. He was a 7th Dan black belt in Aikido, and his early life as a martial arts instructor added authenticity to his on-screen presence. However, his Hollywood career was a different story. Behind the tough guy persona, things weren't quite as action-packed as they appeared. Seagal's films, often produced by Julius R. Nasso, delivered the punches and explosions audiences craved. Hits like Marked for Death and Under Siege solidified him as the ultimate action hero.
Action actor?
Some action.
However, his real-life partnership with Nasso was about to explode in spectacular fashion. After delivering 6 successful films together, the relationship between Seagal and Nasso turned sour. Nasso accused Seagal of ditching a $60 million deal for 4 more movies. This sparked a real-life drama more intense than any of Seagal's on-screen fights. What unfolded next would make even the most seasoned screenwriter raise an eyebrow. Seagal's movie producer, Julius Nasso, allegedly had ties to the Gambino crime family, one of New York's powerful mafia groups. When their business relationship went sour, Nasso called in some muscle to persuade Seagal. And so one day, Seagal was forced into a car by mobsters in Brooklyn. They whisked him to a mob-owned restaurant, where the threats began. The deal was simple. They wanted him to keep making action movies, but they also wanted a hefty cut $150,000 per film. Seagal didn't fight back with martial arts moves like in his movies. Instead, fearing for his life, He reportedly handed over at least $700,000, but the story didn't end there. Unbeknownst to Seagull, the FBI was already tailing the Gambino family. They listened in as the mobsters laughed and called him a wimp who didn't live up to his tough guy image. The FBI contacted Seagull, but initially, he was reluctant to cooperate, fearing the mob's retribution. However, when he was threatened with jail term, he finally spoke up. His testimony, coupled with FBI wiretaps and other evidence, painted a clear picture of the extortion scheme. Nassau, on the other hand, denied any mob involvement, claiming he only wanted the money Seagull owed him. However, the evidence painted a different picture. In 2003, Nassau faced the consequences: a year in prison and a hefty fine for extortion and conspiracy.
No.
If I have to fight, I don't care about the law.
Yeah.
I care about ending it quick.
The Cray Twins.
He and his twin brother, Reggie, controlled organised crime in the East End of London in the 60s.
The Cray Twins, Ronnie and Reggie, were notorious gangsters who dominated London's criminal scene in the 1960s. Before turning to crime, they were boxers kicked out of the army for being too wild. One brother, Ronnie, was gay and schizophrenic, while the other, Reggie, seemed normal, which some might find even more concerning. Now, you might wonder, what's the connection between these gangsters and the Beatles? Back in the late 1950s, the Crays worked for a Liverpool gangster named J. Murray, who likely crossed paths with the Beatles during their early rise to fame. Later, when the Beatles moved to London, they even frequented casinos owned by the Crays. Driven by greed and power and also inspired by the American mafia, the Crays, aimed to control a rock band. The Beatles, the biggest band in the world at the time, the Crays saw them as a juicy target for several reasons. The Beatles were global superstars, and they could potentially offer the Crays immense influence and bragging rights. Despite their squeaky clean image, the Beatles had personal lives that didn't always align with their public persona, and this potentially made them vulnerable to blackmail. Additionally, Brian Epstein, the Beatles' manager, wasn't just a gambler, which could be exploited by the Crays in their attempts to control the band. Soon, Ronnie Cray, known for his violent tendencies, visited the Beatles' manager Epstein and declared his plan to take over. Epstein, understandably hesitant, explained that managing a band like the Beatles was a demanding job requiring specific expertise. Feeling disrespected, Ronnie went to shocking lengths to prove his seriousness. He grabbed an unsuspecting man present in the room and shoved a large nail through his cheek. However, reality soon set in quickly. Managing the Beatles proved too daunting, so the Crays opted for a different approach: extortion. They threatened Epstein, extracting large sums of money from him. But their musical ambitions didn't end there. The Crays turned their attention to another band, the Kinks. This time, their approach was similar, but with a peculiar twist. They contacted the manager, expressing interest in managing the band, and oddly, Ronnie demanded a date with their drummer, Mick Avery. This dark chapter in music history showcases the dangerous entanglement of fame and organized crime. While the Crays ultimately failed to control any band, their actions cast a shadow over the music scene and served as a reminder of the consequences of mob involvement. Tommy Flanigan and Glasgow Gang. You might recognize Tommy Flanigan, the Scottish actor with the distinct scars on his face. He has starred in shows like Sons of Anarchy and Braveheart. But before Hollywood, he faced a brutal attack that changed his life forever. Back in his early days, Flanigan wasn't an actor. He was a disc jockey in a Glasgow bar. One night, after finishing his set, he was leaving the bar when things took a dark turn. A group of drunken thugs jumped him, beating him viciously. But the worst was yet to come. They slashed his face with a blade, leaving 2 deep scars extending from the corners of his mouth. This barbaric act, known as a Glasgow smile, left a permanent mark on him. Flanigan was rushed to the hospital, where he fought for recovery. The physical wounds healed, but the emotional scars remained. It was there, in the hospital room, that his friend, fellow actor Robert Carlyle, gave him unexpected advice: try acting. Despite the scars, Flanigan took a leap of faith. He started acting, and slowly, he built a career. Initially, some people couldn't see past the scars, but Flanigan used them to his advantage. Over time, Flanigan stopped dwelling on the scars. They became a part of who he was, a reminder of his resilience. He focused on his craft, pouring his heart and soul into every role. Whether it was Chib's Sons of Anarchy or Cicero in Gladiator, he brought an intensity to the screen that captivated viewers. Today, Flanigan is a successful actor, recognized for his talent and captivating presence. He doesn't shy away from his scars, but he doesn't dwell on them either. He is a survivor, a fighter, and an artist who turned tragedy into opportunity. Justin Bieber and Dana Martin. Justin Bieber, the young pop star with a voice that melted hearts, almost became the target of a chilling plot in 2012. The mastermind behind this dark scheme wasn't some shadowy villain, but Dana Martin, an inmate serving a life sentence for a brutal crime. Martin had an unhealthy obsession for Bieber, and it didn't help that the pop star never replied to his letters. And so, armed with a twisted desire for revenge, Martin hatched a plan from his prison cell in New Mexico. To carry out his diabolical plans, he recruited two accomplices, Mark Stock and Tanner Ruane. Their mission was to travel across the country and eliminate Bieber, along with his bodyguard and two other unrelated individuals. The details were gruesome. They planned to strangle Bieber with a scarf and even castrate and his bodyguard with gardening shears. Yikes. Thankfully, their plan never reached its horrifying conclusion. Mark and Tanner, eager to carry out their mission, set off on a road trip. But their excitement got the better of them. They got lost in the snowy wilderness of Vermont and accidentally crossed the border into Canada. This seemingly harmless mistake triggered a chain reaction. They came face to face with Border Patrol officers in Canada. Mark was arrested immediately on a warrant for a probation violation. Ruane, panicking, called Martin to explain the situation. Unfortunately for them, the call was intercepted, and the authorities quickly pieced together the chilling plot. The authorities had their smoking gun. Ruane was subsequently arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder and aggravated battery. The plot thickened as media reports shed light on the duo's broader murderous intentions. It was disclosed that Mark and Ruane had intentions to eliminate not just Bieber, but a total of 4 individuals. This bizarre plan never reached its intended targets, thanks to the watchful eyes of law enforcement and a hefty dose of bad luck for the would-be perpetrators. Tekashi, 6ix9ine, attacked in gym. If you are a fan of rap, you might be familiar with Tekashi 6ix9ine, the rapper known for his rainbow hair, catchy tunes, and controversial past. In 2023, he found himself in a terrifying situation. He wasn't on stage, but was relaxing inside a South Florida gym sauna when things took a shocking turn. Suddenly, without warning, a group of men ambushed the rapper. They weren't fans asking for autographs, but attackers raining blows on him. He tried to fight back, but outnumbered and overwhelmed. He was ultimately beaten and left with injuries that sent him straight to the hospital. Thankfully, gym staff reacted swiftly, calling for help and ensuring he received medical attention. The attack left Tekashi battered and bruised, his face gashed and swollen, along with injuries to his jaw, ribs, and back. This incident wasn't just about a random gym fight. Tekashi, you see, has a history. He has been criticized even by fellow rappers like Snoop Dogg for cooperating with authorities against his former gang members, the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. This cooperation helped him get out of prison early, but it also earned him enemies. While the motive for the attack remains unknown, the timing and his past raise the question of whether the attackers belonged to the very gang he testified against. 50 Cent and Kenneth McGriff. Curtis James Jackson III, better known as 50 Cent, wasn't born with a silver spoon. His cradle was the unforgiving streets of South Jamaica, Queens, in New York City. Here, the lullabies were sirens and gunshots. The playground was a battleground, and dreams often died young. Witnessing the stranglehold of drugs and violence from a tender age, 50 Cent found himself caught in the crossfire. By age 12, he was already dealing crack cocaine. Despite the darkness, music offered a glimmer of hope. 50 Cent's raw talent caught the attention of Jam Master Jay of Run DMC, who saw the potential beneath the hardened exterior. Under his guidance, 50 Cent started recording, pouring his experiences and struggles onto the beat. His words resonated with the streets. A record deal with Columbia Records in 1999 seemed to be the key to unlocking his dreams, but fate had other plans. On May 24, 2000, while sitting in a car outside his grandmother's house, 50 Cent found himself staring down the barrel of a gun. A black Ford Expedition pulled up, and before he could react, a hail of bullets rained down upon him, leaving him grievously wounded. He survived but sustained serious injuries to his legs, hands, arms, chest, face, and left cheek. The shooting wasn't just a random act of violence. It was a calculated move by Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a notorious figure in the Queen's underworld. He had been angered by 50 Cent's lyrical revelations in the song Ghetto Koran, and so had ordered a hit on the rising star. The shooter, Daryl Homo Baum, was later killed, possibly as retaliation or to silence loose ends. McGriff was eventually arrested and convicted of multiple murders, including that of Baum. Meanwhile, 50 Cent used the incident as fuel for his rap career. After recovering from his injuries, he caught the attention of Eminem and Dr. Dre, leading to the release of his breakthrough album Get Rich or Die Tryin' in 2003. This album, featuring hits like In Da Club and 21 Questions, propelled him to superstardom and solidified his place as one of the most successful rappers in history. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.